Yeah! How you doing, people? I'm back. That song was a new song, which was released Monday on YouTube because I did a demo for Douglas Strings, handmade strings from Italy. And this song is called, as a working title, which is D10, which might be read as Dio, which is not Ronnie James Dio, but Dio in Italian means God. So it's kind of... Anyways, I'm here today and I have a guest who is waiting for me here. His name is Joshua Lopez, and he's from Texas. And he's a guitar player, bass player, producer. And let me see if I can get him online. Yep.
Woohoo!
Here we go. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you. Thank you very much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
It was a long time since the latest time I saw you. I saw you this year, but it was kind of fast because I had to go to play.
Yeah.
Around.
That is crazy.
A couple of years ago, we had the time to hang out a little bit at the Legator booth at the NAMM show.
Yeah.
It was cool.
That was cool. Yeah.
And,
my first year playing with them. That was my first year playing with Legator.
2019.
Yes, 2019.
Cool. Anyways, this year we have been lucky because we made it. We did NAMM 2020.
Yeah.
Which still, I mean, this year sucks, but still we can say we played NAMM, this year.
Yeah.
Which,
I hope that it comes back for 2022, at the very least.
I think so. I'm optimistic. I think
too.
we can make it. Yeah,
I think so too.
So, but, I mean, for us in Europe, it might be a little bit more difficult to get over there. Maybe there is a quarantine to do. I have no idea. More extra documents and stuff like that. So it might be complicated. But this year I lost also. We have the same like the NAMM show, which is called Music Messe. It's in Frankfurt, Germany.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly at the same level because
no, of course. But where I'm at, we don't have anything like that but NAMM. And NAMM is a big travel for me. I have to travel 5 hours to Austin, and you fly out of Austin another 3-4 hours to California. So it's always a big trip. But I wish there was something that was a little more closer, even if it was a little more smaller. But being around that environment.
I think there is a show. It's called Dallas Guitar Show or something like that.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
of course. It's not big as NAMM. I'm pretty sure it's kind of a small thing, but still.
And it's not too bad. But that's like 8 hours away from me.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Because anyways, the point is you live in Texas, and every time you drive from A to B is at least like 6 hours of driving.
Yeah,
right? So,
and I'm on the very bottom, so to get anywhere, just to get out of Texas is going to take a whole day.
Yeah.
I pretty much have Mexico, and then other than that, it's a lot of travel.
Do you play gigs in Mexico sometimes?
No,
since you're so close?
I don't.
No.
I don't. I have friends that do. In fact, I have a band that I record out of the border. They're like in an hour away from me, but still bordering Mexico, and they come in and out and play a lot. So
yeah,
my work gets around.
Which is funny because if you think they live in Mexico, so to drive like for 1 hour, they probably need a lot of documents and stuff like that in order to be able to record at your place.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, probably they do that also pretty often because maybe they work sometimes in the U.S. and stuff like that, so they have special permission. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
so, you are a guitar player, bass player. Also, you play the bass in a band called Immortal Guardian.
Yeah.
Which is some kind of power metal with prog influences, and it reminds me a little bit of Symphony X, a little bit because of the guitar sound, which is kind of really heavy. Because it's still it's classic metal and prog, but still it's kind of heavy, right?
The guy who writes for it, Gabriel, he is a very classical taught player. So he brings that influence to power metal and then makes it his own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really interesting, and it was really modern, like the production, comparing to like the power metal and the classic metal, which they are still a little bit kind of old school because it's the
Yeah.
kind of music that requires that kind of sound. This is more like a modern thing. I mean, the sound it might be similar to the Gent production and all those kind of things with probably the drums is written like it's not played or something, right? Or it's triggered or
The
something.
drums, yeah, we do trigger. They do trigger for power metal.
Hmm.
I think pretty
Yeah,
much doing the reel and then trigger is
yeah.
like pretty ideal. This past
Hmm.
album, we ended up doing the album that's about to come out in February, releasing a single tomorrow, actually. Um, we did a hybrid where we did real cymbals and then we did pads for the rest of the
Hmm.
entire kit.
Yeah, probably I was talking about the previous album that I checked out
Yeah,
on
yeah. So
Spotify.
that one is
Yeah,
pretty much triggered. So it's almost
yeah.
identical, the same thing.
Yeah, sometimes it's really difficult to understand if it's written or if it's actually played, because
Yeah, the
because of the,
production.
because of the sound, yeah, the production and stuff, and also the guitars really really modern. Does this guy use the X effect?
I actually, for the album, I used the
Yeah,
PV6534 on one side and
yeah.
a Mesa Boogie on the
Okay,
other side.
so you produced the new album.
Both of them, yes. I mixed and
Okay,
mastered the
cool.
last album, and this album that's
Okay,
about to be released, I did more. Actually tracked it.
but did you play the bass on the previous album? Because
No,
I know that you recently
yeah,
joined the band, like probably
yeah.
last year or something.
It happened at NAM. Everything happened at NAM, actually.
Okay,
NAM is so
everything happens
magical.
at now.
Everything happens. You know how it goes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But in the beginning, I had no idea. So I remember the first year I came there because really wanted to play Nam, but I had no idea what it was. I mean, I knew, of course, it was this kind of mess and stuff like the music mess in Frankfurt, and it was an important place to be. But when I came there, then in a couple of hours, I was like, what the hell is going on here? Everything is happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Is basically happening. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's where you go. Like, I just tell everybody, if you're serious about being in the music business, whether you be in a band or whatever, go out there, because the vision of what you need to do to get to where you want may become clearer. Because
Yeah.
that's what happened to me. And Gabriel, what happened was I started working with Immortal Guardian, producing the last album that came out. And when we spent 2 weeks together, we vibed so much that he said, I'm taking you to NAM. You need to come to NAM. I got my biggest jump after going to NAM. You need to go out there and
Yeah.
meet people.
Same here. Same here. Same here. Mm.
And he brought me into that world, and I saw real quick, he was having a business meeting with Kiesel. They were signing with him. He was previously a Fender Jackson artist. He moved to Kiesel. I was seeing these deals go down and meeting different, representatives of different brands, and seeing like they would have these conversations with people, and I would see what they wanted that person to say. And sometimes they would say exactly what they wanted, and that person would get like, things would happen for that person. So I just kind of decide every year, my first year back, I said I got a lot of work to do. So I got with Legator and started my journey, for this path after producing. Because I had been playing guitar my whole life, but after high school, I used producing to get my foot in life, because there's some kind of income there. So between a cover band and that, but I wasn't really getting out there as I am now until I went to NAM and, saw how I can do it as an independent person, how I can stand and find my market.
Exactly. It's the same here. I was more like into like teaching and producing and those kind of things. So I was not really playing live in that period. But then after I went to NAM, a totally different world opened in front of me, especially for the kind of music that I do, instrumental, progressive metal and stuff like that. It's not really easy to get out from the studio and playing gigs and stuff like that. But after NAM, a lot of stuff had started to happen. Got in contact with companies like. I became an artist for Hot Tone Audio, so I did several tours in China, and a lot of different markets open.
That's awesome.
Like you said.
See,
Yeah,
I'm trying to get into the clinic side of things. I really love performing material that I work hard on. And I've just always been fascinated by that world, but it's slowly making its way up to that point.
Yeah, cool. And yeah, the clinic. I'm doing some clinics here. And I started to do more after, of course, I went to Nam and all those kind of things. And it helped me also understanding what I really want to do, which is more like the kind of music that I like, instead of doing like I still do session works and those kind of things if I like it, if I like the artist, if I like the ideas and stuff, and people in
Yeah.
general who work in that project and stuff like that. But my main focus is still like the instrumental thing, And yeah, too bad nowadays we cannot play so many stuff because everything is kind of closed
Shut
because of
down.
COVID-19 here.
Yeah.
But I heard that you played did you play some concerts recently? You played
So
on
last
Friday
night,
at all?
I played a restaurant gig. It was like a restaurant bar type of thing. Um, they're open, and they have an area. People go and just pretty much have dinner, and some of them drink and enjoy the band. So it's a little more uh, chill,
What
I
what kind of
guess.
what kind of music? Yeah, what kind of music was it? Still
So we're
rock
playing
or?
covers. Yeah, we were playing covers. Anything from Tool
Ah,
to
okay, okay.
Tom
So it's good
Petty.
stuff. Good stuff, anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
We play a mix. We can't throw Tool like right off the beginning, so we usually start with like Eagles, Tom Petty, maybe some softer stuff, and then
And
work
you
our
play
way.
you play the guitar in this band.
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Yeah, it might be that. I mean, that's a good idea for playing some extra gigs those days. Maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
everything
Little extra
here.
cash.
Yeah, I mean, here in Norway, the situation with COVID is not that bad. So we have some concerts, but those concerts they are actually turning like a restaurant situation with
Yeah.
tables, and you're supposed to sit in the table with people that you come to the venue, and then you can order something that can, you get it at the table. You're not allowed to speak with the guy from the other table, which is kind of crazy. But so basically, it's going that way also here, And here we
Yeah.
don't have like all the bad numbers like the rest of Europe or the US. Still, the situation is kind of okay in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Milder.
still, yeah. But still, I'm doing a lot of stuff online because for this kind of music, it's not really like a restaurant kind of
Yeah.
situation,
See, and
Well,
I'm constantly my days hour to hour are usually filled. I'm constantly tracking, mixing, producing, whatever needs
mm,
to get done, whether it be editing, reamping, mixing, tracking. I'm
mm,
still having bands come in, but it's usually like one or two people at a time. So it's not like a whole
yeah,
band is usually in here.
yeah.
And then, while trying to work on my own side of things, I've been doing a lot of product demos for brands lately. So that's been busy as well. All the extra time I get goes to that. On top of, I have Immortal Guardian that I'm now playing for. We just finished an album. It's been sent out to the label. That comes out in February. We have a single that releases tomorrow, our first single
Cool.
off the album. And then I still have my other kind of projects, Lavacio, which we're working on a full length. We've kind of written the album out as a structure, but still need to hone in on the detail work. And then,
Did you play at Nam with that project?
yes, that was where
Yeah, yeah, because I remember you played with another guitar player at Nam,
Mhm.
if I'm right. Yeah.
Yeah, the guitar
Was it this year
player.
or last year?
It was this year.
This year.
When I went out to Nam, he was one of the guys that was traveling with my group of people. He's from Austin. So he's still like 4 or 5 hours away from me. But we met because we were in the same group of people the entire week, and we hit it off. First night, we were already jamming with each other. We were playing Super Mario Bros. And we realized we're both retro game fanatics and Shredder fanatics. We love Ingve. We love Marty Friedman, Jason Becker. We grew up, we were playing like the songs to each other. And it was so great that, we decided, hey, let's do a song together. So he came down for a weekend. We didn't know what was going to happen. We just knew we were going to write a song together. The first song turned into a music video, which turned into a band. And when Legator heard everything, they loved it. They were like, you need to be doing more of this stuff. They wanted me to play as Lavacio,
Hmm.
this year round, because it was just kind of so special. You know, I think it's a very special project. To be able to feed off of another person like that doesn't really come too often. So that's kind of like why we decided to showcase Lavacio this year. But we only have 2 songs written fully. Everything else, we have the album is still in the works.
Probably with those 2 songs, and another band would make an album out of those 2 songs. If you know what I mean? You have a lot of changes and stuff. Probably, right?
But what we're trying to do with the album, he came down in August for 2 weeks. And after just tracking the Immortal Guardian album and seeing how Gabe lays out the album, because he did a whole album in quarantine about quarantine. That's what the Immortal Guardian album is about. So I took that and I said, okay, with these 2 songs, if we were to make an album that was greatly well-rounded, meaning this song played this role, this song played this role, and these are the 2 songs that play these roles already in the album, what are the other songs going to sound like? So before we even started writing melodies and music, we were writing concepts. We need a ballad. Yeah, cool. And he was like, oh, I got a 2-4-5 or a 2-4-1 chord progression. That will be great for a ballad. Okay, do that. I want a song that sounds mean and like an ending boss for a video game. So, you know, we wrote these things down and did a whole album the first night that we sat together. And before we started getting in the studio and saying, okay, what is that idea? What, you know, how are we going to write what we want so that this album is well-rounded?
Cool. By the way, we have a question from my friend Antoine from France.
Hey, Antoine.
Can you read the question?
I'd say, nice to meet you. I love green. Could you show those green guitars? Yes.
Yeah,
let me show you these.
He's the green man.
Okay, so let me tell you the story because it's a funny story. I'm the green man. Not really. I take you for it.
I have a green guitar, by the way. Now that I remember. I have a nice string.
So when I got with Legator, they had asked me, what string count and what color do you want? And I told them I want an 8 and I want pink. I wanted a hot pink guitar. I have a pink as well, by the way. So you get to hear the story. It's so great. Like, I love your pink guitar. So they didn't have pink in the first run. This is the older run. So they had the green. And this was the first guitar that I got with Legator. Cool. It went through a couple of pickup changes just because it was a guitar that I used. And since I got the newer ones, I stopped using it. It has my custom Sonic Boom inlay. That is, let's see if we can get in there. It's the whole level for Super Mario Brothers.
Wow.
So,
I guess you cannot play. I guess you cannot play that guitar right now, but I can see that it's not stringed.
No, it's not. This guitar.
Is there any reason why you don't have any strings on that guitar? You feel that like it's better for the fretboard or?
No.
I really have no idea.
Busy. And I have so many guitars that I've kind of been neglecting lately. It's a little sad. Like what I have right here is it's not even half of the guitars that I own. So I just get so busy. I just haven't had a chance. And other guitars.
Yeah, but I totally understand. I have a lot of guitars as well. I have some in the control room, some here in the live room, some upstairs, some in Italy. And usually my thing is that I try to play every month with a different guitar just because it makes sense, like to use those guitars instead of having those guitars just in somewhere and not using them. So I try to restring, but every time I do that, it's really time consuming, especially here because we have a lot of difference between humidity between the summer and the winter. The temperature goes up and down and stuff like that. It's a nightmare. So every time I have to reset it from scratch, and it takes so much time that
and you know how it is, like when you get new gear in, the new gear starts taking priority over the last. So
unfortunately.
So this was my third guitar with Legator. I had asked for pink, and
again you got green.
And again I got green. So I got this one. It's like your pink one, just in green with the burl, the California Buckeye, like
Ah, yeah, yeah,
linear.
yeah, yeah. But
So
the pickups, those
I
white
changed them
pickups,
out because what
okay.
happened is like my first set of Fishmans, they moved from guitar to guitar before I became a Fishman artist. Now I just get a new set of Fishmans, but they moved. So when this was my main guitar, I had Fishmans, and when I moved the Fishmans out to the next guitar, I put some Legators pickups that I had sitting around.
But okay, so those pickups are Legator.
Yeah, these are their Hive
Okay.
pickups.
Mm-hmm.
They have like these honeycomb inlays in them. And
Yeah,
you can
I never
see
seen
kinda.
white.
Yeah, so they
I've
have
seen
them in black and white. I
Mm.
thought it looked cool. And then now this year, Ryan was like, "Hey, did you want a pink guitar? Was pink guitar a thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, most definitely."
Oh,
So
well,
he
you
finally
got
gave me my
a
first pink.
That's a good one. That's a good one. A Ghost.
Yeah, I like this
Cool.
one a lot. I haven't played it much. Reason being, I haven't done my video yet, and I don't want to put a lot of wear and tear before I do that. But I just got a set of Fishman white pickups over here that I'm gonna put in here.
Do you do that
So,
yourself?
yeah, I've been doing guitar tech work my whole life. Well,
Right.
not my whole life, since I was like in sixth grade. But I've always been an electronic nerd, taking apart and fixing things. I've built pedals and done crazy
I mean-
weird mods, fix arcades for friends.
Well, I cannot do those things. So I'm really, I have no understanding of electronic and those kind of things.
Oh, I
know
love
when,
it.
I don't know when I know when a guitar sounds good and it doesn't. That's the only thing I can rely to. You know what I mean? So it's not. I'm not really a technical guy, and you saw that tonight when I had those issues with the computer. Before starting. So yeah, do you want to play something?
Yeah, let's play something. Okay, so I'll be honest for anybody who's here with us. I was not prepared for playing anything at all, and right now, information songs are coming in and they're coming out. So hopefully, I have this.
Cool. So the song
No,
you're
it should
going to
be
play
fine.
is
Okay, so this is
Guardian.
This is Immortal Guardian. This is off of the last album that I did with him. This was actually Thad
Cool.
Stevens who wrote these bass lines.
So that's a preview to the new album. It's a
No,
premiere.
this is the old one.
No,
This is the old one.
Okay. Hmm.
Yeah, because I only have I don't have any backtracks ready for those yet. At least for me, I have it for the rest of the band. They got the backtracks, but I haven't gotten a chance to prepare mine just yet. So everything's a process. But anyways, let's see if this works. Ooh, it's a long one.
Yeah, great job, man.
Thank you. It's been a
So
while.
we have, yeah, we have a question from Antoine again. Two questions actually. One is about the bass sound. He really likes the bass sound, and I do as well. And we talked also, me and
Thank
you,
you.
about what you're using on the bass. And can you run us through the signal chain?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so this is the Legator 5-string fan fretted. I'm using the Fishman 5-string pickups. I'm using the active scooped sound, so it's going to be extra bassy and extra bright. And then I'll boost bass up and highs to taste on the bass a little bit, but most of the tone shaping is happening through my micro tubes B7K. So that's pretty much the majority of the tone right now is the B7K set up to complement these pickups. I think these pickups are very tight and very clear that when you just run it through some nice gear, there's not too much you really need to do.
Yeah, they were really breaking through the mix. That's the first thing I noticed in the beginning. They were kind of sharp at a good point. But what about the album? When you recorded the album, what did you use?
We used a sound amp.
Sound. But did you do a reamp, or did you record a direct, or how did you?
We did a reamp because when they did the last album, they actually recorded everything before they came to me for mixing and mastering. But they had dry DIs to everything. So I took the dry DIs and reamped the guitars and the bass. And the Thad, the player before me, he's straight pick. hand. So he doesn't use a pick. So the Sans amp, I think, complements his heavy hand.
And how did you track? Did you use a plugin or did you switch
Um,
the signal?
Dark Glass, I mean, not Dark Glass, the Neural DSP Parallax. I pretty much
Okay,
use that for all of tracking.
cool. And you do the same with the guitar.
Yeah, I've been using a lot of the like Nameless or the Fortin NTS from Neural. I'm really a big fan of the Neural tones.
Are
They
you an
sound great
artist as
right out of the
well?
back. I'm not. Um, I have some friends that work there, and they've given me some of their stuff, but I do work with them on somewhat of a level. Yeah, I've done a couple of like I use their stuff in some of my videos. Um,
And what about the guitars? Like when you do the mix, do you reamp the guitars as well? Do you keep the sound of the plugins sometimes according to the project, or do you have like a
According to the
standard?
project, a lot of my demos that you see up, I don't reamp. I think for a lot of that stuff, unless I'm using said gear, like I have a video coming out with the Joyo, where I just use the tone from that and mic it up or send DI out. But for a lot of my projects, I'll just go with anything from Neural, depending on the project. I have like a wide range of their stuff, so I think I have a lot of bass to cover. If I have a guitar tone that needs to sound like a plexi, I can use the Cali or even the Plini. If I need something to sound very brutal and low endy, the NTS. If I need it to be genty, the Nameless is really good. So I think if you just pick the one that sounds according to the project, you turn it on and maybe touch a couple of knobs, but you're pretty much good to go just by
Do you do
knowing
did you
which one
do
works
those?
good.
Did you make those presets that you're using, or are you using some presets already existing, or because for me, for
Um,
example, I tweak it. I sometimes I use some presets that I already exist, and I tweak it the way that works for me. But
mhm.
I noticed that the best way to work for me, both with plugins and the camper or any kind of
Modeling.
modeler. Yeah, it's basically to build the sound from the scratch, because I noticed that anyways. At the end, it will always works better because I have my own guitar to make the sound, and even like when I like doing the profiles on the camper. I like to do the microphones put in the way I like it. I
Yeah.
like to use the room here, and those profiles, they sound way more they fit way more with my style comparing to using like whatever profile was made in the best recording studio in LA, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. It might
I
be
know
that
exactly what you mean.
technically that maybe sounds better, but still I like to use the one I make because it sounds more me in a way.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly
Do
right because you don't know what gear they're running through, what cabs, or if they're not, or what guitars, what pickups, how the player plays,
yeah,
Or I don't think
that's
the player has to play to get the Kemper profiling, does it?
yeah, and well, you need to set up the sound on the amp. So you don't play when you're doing the profiling, but you play before in order to tweak the amp the way you like it, and that's actually the result of the sound.
Yeah.
So, and I said because it happens, for example, that I did some camper packs, and then people, especially people working at the company, they were trying that out, and they were like, "Man, this sounds weird. It's too bright. There is not enough bass and whatever." And the reason was, of course, that I did that with my A string guitar or whatever. So if you try out with a Fender Stratocaster afterwards, it's not really. I mean,
Yeah, it's not going to be the
it's a
same.
completely random thing. I mean, it might sound if it sounds good, it's just a coincidence, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
because you have your own. You pick in certain ways, and you have different guitar, and I have high output pickups. For example, I use a lot of Lundgren pickups, the Meshuggah
Yeah.
pickup, and they are really high output and stuff like that. So when you use another guitar, it's a completely different story.
Yeah, completely.
And that's why I build the presets on all the plugins that I use from scratch. You know, but how do you feel like? Because for me, is I feel that nowadays the plugins are so good that you might be just do the album using the plugins. And as you said, most of the times you use the plugins just when you're most of the times when you're doing demos because
Yeah.
because it's really practical and it's fast. You
The
know?
only time I want to grab a reamp is when it's like a meaningful project or a band that I feel it needs a little bit more love for the guitar tones, because I love the Nameless and all those tones, but you'll get an extra 3D effect and thickness out of just using the real gear. There's no other way I can explain it, but to me, that's what it's always felt and looks like when I'm trying to mix different things together. Sometimes I have to grab, the Nameless or something and do something a little extra to get them where I want to sit. But with, hooking through a PV or something nice, some real big boy gear, I'm more shaving off to get it to fit in the mix. So I have more than I need to work with.
Yeah. I get it. Sometimes it's like I'm wondering always at the last moment. I do the pre-production with the plugins, and I'm like, should I leave it like this or not? Because it sounds.
I
use Mercurial plugins. I'm endorsed by them. They do a great job with plugins, especially the last one that they did, the Euphoria. When I'm done, I'm like, man, the plan is that I should do the reamp, but I don't know. Should I do it or not? Or should I move to the next song? Or should I reamp?
Yeah.
So, and then I reamp, and then, it's difficult to say. It's really difficult to compare the two things,
I'll have to admit, it takes some work, because I think when I first started tone searching as a reamping with my tracks, it didn't come out the way that I had thought about it, because I had kind of been using amp sims for so long. And it took me a while to find out what it is about reamping and using the real gear that I want, and how can I shape it in a way that's going to translate to my mix. Because these amp sims, majority of the time, they're already tailored for your mix, or for a mix somewhat. Maybe they're missing something, but they're there a lot. But when you mic up a cab, there's no knowing how that's going to end up, and what it needs to end up as. The mic isn't made for metal or rock, it's meant for everything. So you have to do a lot of figuring out and seeing how gear also reacts, because a tube screamer in there doesn't sound like a tube screamer that I'm actually playing with over here.
That's the point, because for me, of course, it's more practical to track using the plugin. And then let's say I had to do the reamp. Okay, I do the reamp using a reamp box or the camper. A reamp box in the amp, or a camper, or whatever. But if I play the real deal in the beginning, the sound is going to be a little bit different, which probably people are not going to notice any difference. But I still notice every single day, every single time I do it.
Yeah.
Because you have a completely different feedback from the plugins comparing to the amp. So that when you play the plugin, the playing is better, and then when you use the reamp, you have to work way more, because of the way you play the song, the dynamic feedback you got from the plugin is completely different comparing to the one you get from the camper, or even from the amp.
That's why when I grab an amp sim, I've been working with guitar tones and learning how every different type of amp sounds, right? There's a lot of clones, but there's a lot of the same stuff. And I've been, seeing, hey, this project, it's this amp, it's these settings. This project, it's this amp. So I grabbed the amp sim that's doing that, and you got to get there at least 80% of the way, so that when I do grab that piece of gear, I'm just grabbing a better version of what I'm kind of already using. I'm not going to change the tone in a drastic kind of way. I'm not going to go put a Marshall tone and then grab a Mesa Boogie after the fact.
Of course. Yeah. But do you, when you're tracking, even with a plugin or whatever, the signal of the guitar goes inside the DI box or any special preamp?
I have a Tone Beast preamp that I plug straight into. That thing is great.
That might make a little bit of difference.
A lot of difference.
Yeah.
A lot. In fact, I think it helps give the right amount of gain and power to the signal, so that you do have more like dynamic range.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times if I plug straight into the interface, peaking, you know, but running through a preamp, it has a way of controlling all that and keeping it like nice and thick and full before it even touches the interface.
So you might get like a similar effect that you have playing like a real amp, probably, when you're going through that inside the plugin, probably.
I think a lot more so than just hooking straight in, because every time I hook straight in, I hate it. I hate it.
Yeah, I do that all the time, and then I pay the price when I have to reamp, anyways.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm kind of satisfied by the reamping that I do, so it's okay. But I feel that just the playing like the old school way in front of an amp would sound different. But I might buy one of those things, because you know, I track on the DI, so I have the issues that you are talking about. You know, it likes too much.
The Tone Beast, I think, is great, because a lot of the preamps that I was looking for in the studio, you know, typically I'm spending $1,000. But this one, they're actually made from Texas, but they're like 600 for this rack version, and it takes all my inputs, mic inputs, whether I hook up a condenser mic, a SM7B, or a 57, and it takes all my inputs, whether it be a guitar, bass, acoustic. It just handles it all great. It's great across the grid.
How many inputs do you have, you say?
On that preamp, it's only one at a time, but it's got an XLR and a line input. Yeah. But it's only one channel.
Yeah. We have a question from Antoine. How do Legator headless feel compared? Antoine he's a Strumberg guy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice.
And so he's wondering, like, what's the difference? I mean, have you tried any Strumberg guitars? Can you tell the difference between?
I've tried one Strandberg, but it was I don't think I'm a fan of their necks. The biggest thing I'll point out between that one and this one is a lot of the Legators have this flatter neck. So even for headless, especially in 8, they're relatively flat, which I love. And the Strandbergs and the Kiesels, they kind of still have that chunkiness. So right off the bat, that is a big difference in feel. I only played a cheaper Strandberg, one of the more affordable ones. And it was a little like paperweight to me.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've actually been able to like sit on a Strandberg and note a lot of the big differences other than our neck shape.
Yeah, I feel anyways like Legator and Strummer are two completely different guitars in all senses, you know. Like,
definitely.
I tried a lot of different. Of course, I was a Legator artist before, and I tried a lot of different Legator guitars, and they all had like something in common, you know, like some kind of trademark. The same like Strummer have for their guitars, and it's the same thing for Kiesel, I think. You know, they are completely different guitars. They might sometimes look similar, like from
this perspective, but
the
feeling and the way that they put it together is still different. Yeah. And I tried one of those Strandberg basses that have that trapezoid or triangle feeling neck. I thought that was kind of cool, but it's a little unorthodox for a neck shape, I think. I don't know if you've seen that. I think the guitars do it too.
And do you have fan fret on that guitar?
Yeah, this one's fanned. Pretty much all my 8 strings are fanned. All the 8 strings are fanned. What
kind of benefit do you get compared to a
tighter low end
fret guitar?
I get a tighter low end, and the high end stays looser. A lot of times when I get on a fix, like a regular standard, like let's say 27.5 or even 28, the high end becomes really hard to work with. Like you bend barely and it hurts. You know, there's so much tension in that. So I think since I'm going to be doing, you know, stuff like this all the time, let's see. It needs to be like a little more like butter. I play on nines, and it's not as loose as it would be on like a 24.5 scale, but still it beats the heck out of playing nines on a 28 scale, which is like
Are
really
you
hard.
are you a high action guy or a low action?
Low action. I love the
Okay.
really low stuff.
But you're a guitar tech, so it's reliable because guitar players and the guitar tech, they have a completely different idea of action, high or low action. If you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Every I
definitely.
remember every time I delivered my guitars to my guitar tech, he says, "Okay, the action now is low," and I'm like, "Well, it's not really low." But but still, I'm a high action guy because I like to have more sustain on the guitar, and I like to bend and not grab other
It makes a
strings in the
difference.
way.
Yeah.
And it sounds different. It sounds way better, way
You
cleaner, and
know,
all this.
with the cover band, I actually set up guitars differently because sometimes, or even with the 8 strings, sometimes I need a chug and I need that chug to be sustained. And when you have really low action, sometimes it's really hard to get those to kind of like chug through. Because I come from a
Yeah.
lot of like, I guess, deathcore background here in my local scene. There's a lot of that heavy down tempo stuff. So they do a lot of like, dissonant stuff. You can already hear this. I set this guitar up recently, and that's a little too choky. I would actually raise the action. Like if I were to record this, I will raise the action, which is usually just loosening the neck up for me to get a little more relief so that those can cut a little bit more. But
Are you using a noise gate now?
right now at the moment I am. But the tone is pretty much coming out of the Joyo straight. It's got a gain tone and a volume, so there's not much going on. The Fishman pickups clean up really nice. In fact, sometimes I feel like when I put an overdrive, it can muddy it too. It can do too much to it because they're already so articulate in their technology. But I do have an overdrive, and I'm an ISP artist, so I use their Decimate G, and I use all my tube screamers through the effects loop of the Decimate G, and then the guitar through the Decimate to get. So it's muting two things at once. It's muting my guitar and it's muting my overdrives. So here's without an overdrive. Here's with. And like if I turn off the gate, already with the guitar, we have noise. Add the gate, it just gets noisier. So gates are just a must in the 8-string realm, I think. Metal in general.
Any reasons why you're using the tube screamer and the loop effect?
I'm not. I'm using it in the loop effect of the noise gate.
Okay.
So the noise gate, like the Boss NS2s, you know how they have the effects loop? They have a breakout, because I'm using the Mini. It has a breakout cable, like a headphone jack that breaks out to 2, and I use that effects loop for all my overdrives. But in the effects loop of the amp, I'm just using delay.
Yeah.
Something real simple.
So usually the only effect you use is delay. You don't use any reverb, chorus, or those kind of things.
I will, but usually I do like to stack reverb and delay. But lately I just try to keep it clean, because if you add too much, it muddies your tone. So I either use one or the other. If I need something to be real big and like reverbed out and sound like it's in a cavern, I'll use the reverb, like a super long one, because it's got the wetness of a delay. But majority of the time, it's just delay for my leads. And, I play a lot of songs that have that crazy delay stuff, so I'll use long delays as well. But a lot of the time, I can't fit any more things on my pedal board, so I would like to run a phaser as well.
But the pedal board you use is the same that you use like both in the studio and live, or you have different... Oh.
I have so much gear that pretty much whatever gets used in the studio just gets used for that project. I never try to force gear on any project that I do or any other person. It's always the fitting piece. But when I go play live, depending on the band or project, I'll put a set together. I'll put a setup together. So this setup was put together from this weekend, and instead of using my PV 6534, I just decided to use the Joyo because it's easy, you know.
So you use the PV 6534 that had.
Yeah, I use that through an Orange 212 with a vintage 30.
I used to be a PV artist. I mean, the first time I came to NAM, I was still a PV artist, and I remember that for a tour they gave me this 6534, and I felt that was a bit different comparing to the regular like 5150 or 6505.
Yeah.
It was way warmer sound in my
yeah.
opinion, and so it was more like in the beginning, I'm a 5150 guy, right? I grew up with that, but my music changed along the years, and still the 5150 is still my favorite amp. But I felt that the 6534 was a little bit different, and a little bit more mature for my sound, a little bit like more versatile. Versatile maybe is the right word, right?
Definitely.
Because I was getting older and started to play more progressive than extreme, and that was fitting more with my sound. So it was really, really good amp. Also because, of course, it's called 6534 because they use the
34s, EL 34s,
yeah, 34, yeah.
And what I like is because a lot of people down here, they buy the 6505s, because that's what the 5150 turned into. But the clean channel never got clean. Out of all the 6505s I tried, it never got clean. But this one,
it's the point of that amp, The
of course,
really exist, and that was the beauty of it, in a way.
Yeah, of course.
And you could actually run like a tube screamer in front of the clean channel and get a really, really nice crunch.
Yeah, which is what I love. I'm a tube screamer junkie. I have too many. I have too many overdrives. I have the new Direwolf, the Savage Drive. I'm an Aries artist. I have the TS9, the TS808, the Maxon, the Misha, the Precision, and it's an ongoing thing with me with overdrives.
Anyways, we have a question. Now we speak so much that we forget about the question, but we have a question from Antoine again. Thanks, Josh. Various questions about your endorsements. How did your collaboration with Legator and Fisherman start? And why Legator and why Fisherman?
Okay, so I had been a fan of Legator since they started in 2012. I heard of them through a band called Reflections. And I just loved everything that was about them, their modern shredderness. I come from a big like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, John Petrucci background. I grew up playing at a very, very, very young age. So those were the shredders that were around when I was a little kid, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old playing guitar. They came out with this neon line for the first guitar, and I fell in love with them because I love the hair metal, bright colors of pink and highlighter yellow and green, and I just loved everything about them. And it was actually a bit of luck. I had been hanging out at the Joy Sturgis booth because I'm a Nail the Mix user. I go to his lessons, and I learned a lot of my producing skills from him. So his first year out there as Nail the Mix, he had an artist, Drusiv Reynolds, play for him. If you've ever seen any of Drusiv videos, he's a big Thal guy. He loves 8-string gent. And he was playing a Legator guitar, and I was standing next to my artist relations now for Legator, Ryan, and he was new. And we just started talking. Before it was anything business, we just started talking, and he was telling somebody about Legator, and I was telling him like, oh, you guys have those neon guitars. Like I wanted to grab one. And he had told me that they were getting rid of them, that they were no longer going to be putting them out there. And I was like, man, that's a shame because I really wanted one. And he gave me his card and said, well, email me if you really want one of these guitars, and, we'll talk. And I showed him what I had, the work I had been doing, producing. I was producing Immortal Guardian at the time. Gabe, my guitar player, he plays guitars and keys at the same time. That's his big thing. He's been on MTV. He's a big
I think I
internet
saw.
sensation.
I think I saw some videos. It's the long hair guy.
Yep, with long red hair, and he's
Red
you
hair,
know,
yeah, with really
yeah,
like how can I different look in a way compared to
different,
like
yeah.
a metal guy, you know?
So
Yeah, cool.
he's friends with like some of the coolest cats in the industry, Jeff Loomis and stuff like that, and he's introduced me to a ton of people. But he's my foot in the industry, and I had just produced a video for him, the audio that hit 1 million views. So I used that video to kind of like tell Legator, like, hey, I'm going to start producing content. This is my quality of work. This is what I do. Um, I'm looking to build a relationship. I can do anything audio wise for you guys and help out. And they kind of needed the help at the time. So he gave me a shot. He gave me my first guitar, and it built from there. I kept putting in work, and that was my start into videos, into doing videos. That was my start into working with brands. My start at playing my first NAMM performance in 2019 when I met Dimitri. And after playing with them for a year, they actually helped me get with Fishman. Ryan stuck his neck out for me, got me in contact because Fishman was actually, he wanted me to get with Fishman, gave me some contact info, but I wasn't getting any, action back. So there was a point in time when he was giving me a guitar that needed to be equipped with Fishman's, and he made it happen. He made it happen for me. And that was my start with Fishman. And after that, I had just kept doing work and trying to up my value as a producer, videographer, a demoer, and talking to more brands. And I kind of just like knocking on doors, seeing where opportunity is at. And, now I'm kind of just getting the opportunities to work with brands that I didn't imagine I would get to work with. And it's kind of amazing where this route has kind of taken me.
Cool. Yeah. And I know Ryan, he's a really great guy. So even if we don't work together anymore, I had the chance to hang out with him at NAMM this year.
Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah.
It was great to reconnect, from a personal point of view.
Yeah, because he has no hard feelings. Like Ryan's a super cool guy. We've hung out outside of NAMM. I've been to Cali before. I'm here, gonna make a trip, probably stay with him for a week. But he's a super cool cat. I owe a lot as well to him, the opportunities that I've gotten in this industry. And with Legator, it's been a very healthy relationship between the two of us. So out of all my brands, I work the most tightly knit with Ryan and the Legator team.
Yeah, there is the same with me. I'm endorsed by Hot Tone, and that's an endorsement that I never really changed because I love the people there, and I also love, of course, the people, all the other companies I work with. But there is always like one that you think like, okay, this is actually my place,
Yeah,
and it's the same that is happening with Hot Tone, And I did touring
beautiful.
a lot in China, and
and they help get you opportunities, I'm sure,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there is a chemistry, There is always like it's always about the chemistry you have with in general. It's like almost like being in a band,
Yeah.
So
it really is
to have the right chemistry.
And Ryan, I'm young, I'm 26. I think Ryan is barely about to hit the big 3-0. So we're like similar in age, so we get along like a couple of dudes, and it works. It works a lot when you have to deal with somebody all the time, and everybody kind of like works at pushing each other up the levels, So it's very crucial to have good relationships with your brands.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's more about like the personal relationship comes first, and then of course I think the business is working because of that. That's my opinion,
Yeah.
You need to put trust in the people that you work with, and that pays off, like in terms of business in a way, because
I agree.
It's still a business anyways, even if it's fun and all this, but Anyways, we have another question from Antoine, and
he's on
fire. It's not really a question, but he's a very interesting discussion about amp sim versus real thing. I have the neural Nolly, and parallax, but I do prefer playing through my hot tone Ampero because it responds, feels, and bounces more. You know,
Well, I
and
was
of
hearing.
course we are talking about like plugins and pedals, you know, and those kind of things. So it is a bit kind of different. Of course,
Different, yeah.
I also prefer to play through pedals usually. You know, I use the Ampero because I feel it's perfect for my style and it's really versatile to do different kind of things.
I'm very
And
interested in the Ampero since I saw
mm,
your last one because your friend was saying how it's white box emulation and how they
what,
emulate the
yeah,
actual components
mm,
inside whatever they're modeling
yeah.
versus taking a picture, an image. So I would imagine that it reacts a lot better than the neural. I will do admit, whenever I turn neural on, I always have to adjust my input gain before I any plugin that I ever touch. I touch the input gain to make sure that is hitting at the level that
And
sounds best for the plugin.
you are increasing that.
Increasing or decreasing, but usually increasing because I don't like to write hot on my preamps and my interface. So since I run them a little, even, you need that extra hotness. So I will drive them in. It's almost my gain knob before I am even touching anything on the amp sim first.
Yeah. And I have a question for you, which
Yes.
is something that I'm really wondering about. Do you feel that when you know, because you play 8 string guitars, you play 7 string guitars, you play the 9 string guitar? I have no idea. Do you
I
do
have
that?
not touched one, and everybody
Okay.
because
I didn't either. I didn't either.
they I don't know how the 8 string thing started. I originally got an 8 string because I wanted to just learn animals as leaders. As simple as that. I wanted to learn their music, and the only way I was going to do that is if I bought an 8 string. So I bought an 8 string to do that. I was previously into 7 strings because of John Petrucci, when he did Liquid Tension Experiment.
Hmm.
I wanted to play, his music so bad. So I had to start with a 7 string, but I stuck to 6 string majority of the time. And it wasn't until I got with Legator when they gave me a choice to pick. I had just joined a video game tribute band that I was using the 8 string for, and it just seemed right. So I got my first one as an 8, and it just kept going like that. They pegged me as their 8 string artist, and everybody, I get memes to me about 9 strings and 10 strings, but I haven't used anything past an 8 other than a 12 string, which is nothing like
But
that world.
did you play the 7 string before to switch to the 8 string,
I
or
did touch a 7 string first.
but did you play 7 string like in a
Normally, no,
no?
no.
Did
I
you
just
own one?
My grandpa did. My grandpa's a guitar collector, and he goes to pawn shops a lot, and he got a Washburn 7 string. And the first thing I did was I grabbed it and I go, John, that John Petrucci tune. That was like
Hmm.
my introduction into a 7 string. And then, a little bit later, Animals as Leaders came out, and 8 string just kind of became my whole new world.
Yeah, yeah. But my question was like, when you use an 8 string guitar, do you feel that usually, I mean, of course, it depends from one guitar to another one, but do you feel you need to increase or decrease the gain comparing to a 6 string guitar or a 7 string guitar?
If I'm playing on any other pickups on an 8 string, I would say increase,
Yeah.
especially passive. But with these Fishmans, they're hot. They are hot. Yes, they're active because they do take a battery, but their technology is not wounded up metal. It's like a piezo pickup with maybe a couple of windings, and it's got a way that they can access it and make the voicings happen. I feel, and this is how I genuinely feel, I feel like we've been designing pickups for so long, and as technology comes out, everybody always wants the next best thing. They want the next best pickup. EMGs were hot for a long time, and there was a big war about it. What's the next thing? I feel like the Fishmans are it because they're not the same technology of any other pickup, and they're able to separate, especially on an 8-string, the sections. So the low end, if you wind a pickup a lot, you'll get a tighter low end, but then the high end becomes too shrill. Then when you adjust for the high end, the low end gets too bassy. So you're always having this constant fight with regular pickups, even with EMGs,
But
that you want to grab a tube screamer.
Why do you feel that you need to increase not with the Fisherman, with the regular pickup, we can say, you need to increase the gain comparing to a 6-string guitar or a 7-string guitar? Is there any particular reason? Did you figure it out? Why? Because
I feel like there's a lot of dynamic range in the 8-string that a lot of those pickups need to have that space. And since there's not as much dynamic range between a 6-string, that gap is shorter of gain. You know what I mean? Because you have a gain knob, and depending on the pickups, sometimes you make a quick adjustment and you're already in a hot territory. Some passive pickups, you have all this room to give yourself gain. You feel me? So,
but you don't think it has anything to do with the rest of the guitar, like the sustain you have on the guitar, if you know what I mean, the brilliant sound of the 6-string guitar that comes out a little bit more, and you don't need so much gain to kind of get that sound, that compressed sound, if you know what I mean.
I do feel you, because if I do this, let's see. So the 8-string, we're already there. 6-string. If I were playing this as a 6-string, that's probably where I'd set my gain. But when I come to the 8, I still want to grab an overdrive. So I guess, with the lower strings, it just needs a little more clarity and gain and push.
Because I have the feeling it's more like a matter of resonance of the instrument, the physical resonance. If that makes any sense in English, if you know what I mean.
I could see that, yeah.
But of course, the pickup can make the difference, because if you, for example, I use Lundgren pickups, as I said before, they are high output, and you get way more sound out of the guitar, way more gain also at lower gain on the amp comparing to a regular pickup, or even like the active EMGs, even if I'm not a really big fan of EMG.
That sounds interesting. I do admit there are some makers out there that make some really great pickups for 8-string. I did buy a set and was so close to becoming a Guitar Marie artist, and they make some really tight modern pickups that get pretty hot as well for the 8-string. And they do a pretty nice job at cleaning up some of that low-end flub. But I think when it comes to an 8-string more than a 6-string, the pickups are going to mean a lot.
Make the difference, yeah.
Yeah.
I have the same feeling. And you? Okay, you want to play a song on the guitar?
No, I kind of do. How about I'll noodle a little bit? I have something I've been working on. Okay. Okay, so I've been playing in B a lot. I don't know why I like it, so let's try this out. Yeah.
I'm gonna play some chords for you.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hopefully it works. There is always the delay thing, but we'll try to play slow. By the way, did you know what did I play? Which chord
Yeah, you're
sequence was
like
that?
comfortably numb.
Ah, fuck. That's right. You
For
know,
a second, I was like,
I hope you didn't know, so I wanted to throw a challenge for those people who are following us.
uh,
But that is good because it might have cost me like a free CD or whatever. So, anyways,
I like
let's
that
go back
Dorian
to
too.
the let's go back to the studio work.
Yes,
I know that you work as a producer, so you do a lot of recording. You have bands
full
in the
time,
studio, so
all the
you have
time, yeah.
different projects going on, your own stuff, and then or your bands,
And
and
while
then
juggling several bands
yeah,
at once,
and other bands coming in, hiring you as a producer to do their
all the time,
demo
yeah.
and album and stuff. Is there a difference in the like the producing and the pre-producing and the mixing and the mastering process between those two worlds in a way, like your own stuff that might be probably in a certain ways, and then kind of reaching some kind of compromise with a client who has different
I,
ideas or different perspective on the music or whatever.
I really like that question. Um,
Yeah.
there's my process, and there's the process that I use for other bands. Um, I always implore a band to pre-pro their own stuff in any way they can. Sometimes I have people who pre-pro their stuff in a way where they just put their phone on, they press record, they record ideas, they go back and forth, and they work on it from there. I have some clients who know a little bit of DAW work, and they can program some of their stuff. And then I have bands who pretty much know how to do everything up till it comes to my hand. Sometimes I'm either re-recording everything that they did or just mixing what they did, depending on the project. But I always implore people to get a better understanding of their songs before they come in. Because if you come in and you don't have an understanding of your music the way you should, we're going to be spending a lot more time than you plan to. So
Yeah. Yeah,
when I
because
have a band,
you need to understand that.
the picture.
So
So
yeah,
sometimes when I
yeah.
come in, if a band has not been able to give me any of that, and I have to start from scratch, it usually starts with the guitar player and the drummer. I sit with an E kit, and I sit with the guitar player, and we start mapping out the songs in their entirety. Pretty much drum,
On click,
and I'll
on click
quantize it
or
on click because I want the tempo map. If there's tempo changes, I want all of that marked. So I had a death metal band who we had to do that, and there was a lot of up and downs, and I have to stop. Let's mark that, put the tempo. That's how we're going to do it. So it's a very calculated process. Then from there, once I have quantized drums, this is where I like to start with every band. If a band can come to me with quantized drums already, which they have, we're already better off. Like Immortal Guardian, they came to me with the drums ready to go. So then I can just start tracking guitars. We start tracking guitars. We do whatever methods it takes, riff building, big pieces, small pieces, whatever it may be for the project, because sometimes a project can't be too produced or needs just the right amount of production. We do all the guitars. Then we do all the bass, then vocals typically, and then the drummer is usually last. Or sometimes we do the drummer and then vocals. But usually the drummer's last so that he can play along to a whole track and fill in the spots he needs to. Otherwise, if we didn't decide to do real drums, they stay the program drums and they get worked on and tweaked from there. But I always like to have quantized drums before I start anything, because that's going to help me get the picture, help build the picture I need to make sure it's going to translate in the end.
And what would you do if you have like a band coming to you and saying that they really don't want to record on the click? Because there are different faults about that. There are more like live bands in a way. That the click is more like a new. No, it's not exactly a new thing because it has been used also, like in the old school way of recording and stuff. But nowadays, almost everybody uses that. But there are still some bands like not necessarily playing metal, but playing like
indie,
more kind of dynamic things like changing.
I did have an indie band come in To be honest, I'm a little more comfortable with people who don't like the metronome, but I have to know the band and the players that they are to kind of trust them. And I can help, a little along the way, so I can take people's rough edges and smooth them out. But typically, if it's the style that needs it, I'll allow them. Otherwise, if it's a metal band and they want that tightness, I'll end up not working with them just because it's very crucial. And for me to make it, most of the bands I work with want to be on a label and they want to, work with people in the industry. And for me to make it that standard, I need some work from them as well. I can't turn everything into gold.
And what about if a drummer confess you know what, I don't think I can play with the click?
So that's another reason why I actually do that whole process. That's actually one of the biggest reasons why, because most drummers still can't play to a click, but they can play along to a track.
Still can't or still can?
Can't.
Can't.
So, but a lot of them can play along to a track. So if the guitars are already edited,
which is so weird because also guitar players. I have a lot of students because I teach, and most of them are good and they can play on the click and stuff. Some others, they cannot play on the click, but they can play perfectly on a drum machine. Really, I don't understand, because it's basically the same thing. It's just that you have a more, in a way, musical understanding of the song if you play drums, but it's basically the same thing, especially if you play like a 4/4 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's.
And I notice a lot of people, they're always trying to hear the click and themselves. And I don't know about you, but every time I get closer with the click almost disappears because I'm so on top of it.
Except
that, you know what I mean? But I feel like some people, they're just trying to hear it all the time, that they always want.
Sometimes I'm recording in the studio. It's so funny because I feel so stupid, but it's a good thing at the end of the day. I'm like, fuck, I forgot the click. I'm playing without the click, and the click is there. But I got it so much into my system that sometimes I don't even hear it.
Yeah. When you practice that much to a click, it just gets muscle memory. I edit a majority of the stuff that comes in here, but a lot of my demos, because I've been playing for a click so long, I get rid of that whole extra space of time of editing away because I practice for the metronome. So I know that it sounds pretty tight, that I can trust my playing to be there majority of the way. I don't have to go and edit it, but it takes a lot of practice, like you do, playing to a click and to tracks and seeing how your wave falls on the grid to learn to stay in line. People who go through school, they get that a lot.
But still, I think that anyways, in the beginning, when I was before joining the music college, I never really played on the click. I had an okay timing. I was able to play, of course, with the band and all those kind of things, but I had to learn afterwards. And then I became really comfortable with playing with the click, up to the point that now, when I'm tracking, is my best friend in a way. It's really important that I have.
It really is.
On.
Me too.
Also, when I'm playing live, it's I always want to have it. I might be able. Sometimes I play live with the click, just the click on the click and the guitar on the in ear, and that's it. And I know the song from the beginning to the end, and I have the click, and I don't need anything else.
Yeah.
But and now I forgot where I was going to. Hold on, wait a second.
all my bands play with clicks. I think it's just that's how you stay tight.
But still, even if after so many years, I feel that every time, especially if I compose a new song, it's not just a matter of hearing the click and playing over the click. It's a technical thing. So sometimes you need to be able to play technically that riff on the click. Because there are all the slides and all those vibratos and the picking hand and all those kind of things that needs to be synchronized, and that's just about practicing that specific riff, I think.
Yeah.
So it's not really like a thing that, okay, you know how to play on the click. Whatever riff you play is going to be perfectly synchronized in the click. You need to practice every time you play something new, I think. Or at least that works like this with me, you know.
Especially like those hard runs, you know, like sometimes I practice those hard runs, and I practice things very slowly. I love practicing slow. So, you know, you have a run that, you know, I'll practice with that with the click. And I keep doing that. I'll play slow for so long so that later when I'm there with the click, I could just go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because those little things, sometimes we just want to shove them in 2 bars. If we know the click is coming, we'll just want to like, because we want to get through with it. And I think it's really crucial to sit there, you know, at slow speeds and know that where every note lies on the grid.
Yeah, and especially every time you play. I mean, I love playing slow because, I don't know, it's just that my approach. I'm not really like a shredder. I do some shredding sometimes, occasionally. I practice technique constantly in order to keep my chops where they are supposed to be.
They need to, need to be.
Yeah, but I like to play slow, and that's because I don't know. It's probably a personal thing, but I believe also that every time you practice slow, you take care way more about a lot of details, which might be like vibratos or bendings. And all those kind. It's more like my expression, but you know, of course. Sometimes you need to play fast, and when you need to play fast, you have to do it, and that's it. You know, it depends on the song, it depends on the ideas, it depends on the composition, and all those kind of things. But like also Steve Vai, he says, because a lot of people ask him how to play fast, and he said, in order to play fast, you need to play slow.
Yeah. You know, I grew up on a lot of his philosophy. And I have like a magazine from Guitar World where he's like, "Oh, this is my 7-hour workout."
I have the book. I have that book. There is the 7 hours, the 10 hours, and then there is the 20 hours or something like that. I have everything on a book.
That's awesome. You know, I grew up with those. I grew up with books, learning a lot. I would love to buy tab books, and when the internet was a thing, and I learned how to read tabs. My uncle calls me the human jukebox because I just learned cover after cover. You know. Whatever was there. Classics, new, old, you know, old stuff. Yeah.
By the way, I didn't know it was possible to play that song on an A-string guitar.
I know, right? Everybody sees the 8-string and they just expect me to go.
Yeah, but it's funny because I do the same thing because you know my instrument now is the A-string guitar, so most of the times I have lessons just wearing the A-string guitar, and most of my students they got used to that, so they really understand you know, the intervals and all those kind of things, and I have it tuned also in drop E and drop A when I'm doing teaching, so that I can play whatever they play in the same position.
That's cool.
And but
I go back to a lot of that.
It happens a lot of times that I play blues and the funky and whatever on the A-string guitar, you know, and all those kind of things. And at the end of the session, I'm like, man, I can't believe I played like Robin Ford on an A-string guitar with a Lundgren M8 pickup. You know, it's ridiculous, but still.
There's a lot of other stuff.
I think the playing, anyway, like you said before, the playing is the most important thing, the way that you actually do pick and all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you play a little bit of that stuff, the bass?
So I've been trying to get into the you know, that Tosin Abasi style of thumping. Let me see. I need to file nails down, but... Let's see. Yeah, it's very weird. Even doing like
Yeah.
there's so many different like
Yeah,
you
things
know,
that you can do. Yeah.
hammer-ons,
I
pull-offs.
I tried a little bit to try to figure it out, but takes a lot of practice, I guess.
It takes a
And then it
lot. The
depends.
thumb.
But then it
the
depends.
thumb-
Might be that sometimes you know some techniques are more like in your playing than other people, if you know what I mean. Everybody has their
Yeah.
own bubble in a way, you know, and
What they work with.
Tom's stuff didn't really work with me. I don't know. I'm too old school.
And
or
see,
something. I don't-
like, I always thought I should have been like slapping it like a bass, but
Yeah.
Tosin does like a strike,
Yeah,
he
that's
angles.
insane. Yeah, yeah.
and it's
And but
taken me. This year has been my most, like, the biggest years, especially since quarantine, that I've been working on it and getting the muscle memory for the thumb to
Yeah. The problem is the upstroke.
the upstroke.
That
Exactly,
upstroke. That's
it's killer.
I don't know. I feel I had to start playing the guitar from scratch. If you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So
that's
I was
why I
like,
felt
I
when
was
you
like,
learn a new
fuck
technique. For a long
I felt
time, I
good,
wrote too, but you know, with the way that the modern guitar players, I was like, man, I really need to adapt because it's coming around, and if you're
Yeah.
not there,
Well, I don't know. You know, at the end, I was like, I tried for a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I have my own style, and I just keep going my own way. But it's good to get, like you say, it's good to get some different influences and learn
Yeah.
some new techniques, of course.
for
You
me
know, in order
lately,
not to get stuck in the same thing, and also you get some more musical ideas.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's true that the music is something and technique is something else, but those two things, they can interact also the other way around. Like you get
They
a lot
need
of
to.
good
Because-
input from a technique, you know, in order to write a song or whatever, you know.
if you haven't practiced the technique, how can you put it into writing? You know,
That's
that's how I feel. So like, I've been trying to learn new techniques this year, the most, one of them being the thump and the other one being economy picking, like Rick Graham, how he uses these fingers to do shred
Yeah.
licks. Or
Yeah, that I use it a lot.
you know, so that's been one of like the biggest things for me, is using my other fingers to do whatever. Because before, the only time, other than maybe classical playing, the only other time I would use it is like, you know, that Eric Johnson, you know, but I had never like really used it in a shredding sense. You know what I mean? So that is kind of new for me. I've always been like alternate pick everything, you know.
Yeah, but that's for me. Since I started to play like hybrid picking, you call it like this, or how do you call it? Hybrid picking?
Well, hybrid picking, I think, is where you like do a down down. So if you're going like, you'll
Okay,
do double
so
down.
So
Economy.
picking,
Yeah.
picking. Okay, but how do you call the use of the extra fingers? Is there a specific name for that technique?
I mean, I've just heard of it as economy picking, because you're just like,
Okay, because I thought economy picking was just like playing downstrokes, like the sweep kind of thing.
I actually, is it?
Like gambale.
Maybe I'm having it mixed up. Hybrid picking
Yeah.
might be the one
I
with
think
the extra
hybrid picking.
fingers.
Hybrid picking is like when you mix together a lot of different. That's what
Yeah.
what I think. You know, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
you're
really
right.
important. It's important that you can do that.
And
but it's
economy
not really
is
important.
doing in the
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah. But when I started to do like let's call it the hybrid picking kind of thing, I feel that now that's more my thing, and I'm
Comfortable.
losing a little bit of alternate picking. And sometimes
Yeah.
you know it's a mechanical thing, but it might be also something related to the taste, because it's a completely different. it's a completely different sound compared to
Yeah, it
the
is.
alternate picking, which sounds more like stiff in a way, but it sounds more like precise and all. It's to me, it's more flexible,
It's
more
definitely more
dynamic.
flexible.
Let's call it dynamic.
Yeah. You can accent the note that you want to pop. So like if I'll do a run that
Yeah.
goes versus going mixing the both, but it definitely sounds different when you're up here and I'm going and then changing to you get this real fluid,
Yeah. Fluid. That's the right word. Yeah. Did you attend the music college or did you?
I did
learn how
not.
to play?
I grew up. I have some people in my family play, but I'm the only one who really took it like to another level, to this level. And a lot of the times I would read books. YouTube was there for me in middle school, so I used that a lot. But you kind of just have to learn trades, tricks of the trade from different people. I come from a blues area. So a lot of blues players are over here in Texas, of course. So a lot of Stevie Ray and stuff like that. And then we have a lot of like Pantera fans because, it's Texas again. So that was the other side that I was learning. And it wasn't more until recently that I've really been trying to get on the... Yeah. We grew up
It was
with...
one of my favorite bands. Have you seen Pantera live?
I did not. He passed?
I did twice.
Oh, man.
But I'm old, 40 years old now. So.
I remember I turned 11. My birthday's on December 7th, and he passed on the 8th. And I remember getting a call on the 9th saying that he had passed away, and it was...
Actually, I was living in the U.S. when it happened. It was December, right? December 8th?
Yeah, December 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2004. I was there, living there. I lived in L.A. From 2004 to 2006, basically. Back and forth
Okay.
For the visa and those kind of things. I remember the day. So
That's very sad day. But we have a lot of that. We have a lot of that down here. So I grew up with a lot of that. And it wasn't more until recently, now that I'm a producer, that you have to know some theory. And I'm still trying to learn more, especially this year, diving in, learning more theory. And when you play with somebody like Vi compared to like Polyphia, modern cats, Vi is the type of player where you put them on stage. Okay, boys, what are we playing in? We're playing in this. This is a chord progression. Let's go. I love that part of him. I want to understand that versus somebody who, Polyphia, they do know their theory very well, but it's not the same in the way they write. They kind of write premeditated.
And it's still more or less the same structure and the same solos and all those kind of things, I guess. I'm not really into the bass band, of course.
Yeah.
It sounds more like a thing that is already like written, and that's the way you perform it. Like
they perform the same, But I grew up with
music in a way.
Yeah, you can't play for Steve. I can't play For the Love of God exactly the same every time. Not that he can, but it's not meant to be played like that. It's got to flow a certain way depending on the what's going on around and
Yeah, I have to be honest. I struggle a lot with learning the same solos all the time because it's way easier for me to just know the theme and then improvise everything else.
Yeah.
There is always like like you go on stage, there is the risk factor, which might be like, I don't know, you play a wrong note. But honestly, I always improvise better than playing a solo that I know. And that's something related also to the thing that I think when you're improvising, you're more in the moment.
Definitely.
Instead, when you're playing the same thing over and over again, you might get bored sometimes because it's still fun, it's music and whatever, but you still play the same thing, you might be thinking about something else and make mistakes. So for me, it's easier just to improvise. But still, sometimes it's important to play the same thing, if you know what I mean. So to know
Yeah,
your songs, so now I took
depending, you
like
know.
a habit to write down all the parts on Guitar Pro after I compose them, because usually I improvise everything in the studio, and then I'm like, okay, this part is good, so this is gonna be the like the verse and whatever, So I write it down so that because in 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever, I'm not gonna remember that at all, and I'm terrible at like finding finding notes of the songs and all those kind of things. It has something to do with the thing that always improvising has been my thing, so it's always easier than to practice a song the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
but
me,
it's
I've been getting into like understanding what's happening in the song. So if I
mm,
know like it's like this, I know that I can shred here and it's gonna be safe. So I
yeah,
love that part. And you know, when you're playing music, depending on the crowd and or you know what's going on, I'm talking, you know,
okay, yeah,
through my guitar. So sometimes I want to say a little extra. You know, we want
yeah,
to we don't want to just go. We want it to go. You know, but we may
mm.
have wrote it in the track just to go. But
and
if I
that's
know
and
what,
that's why I usually, when I do like the demos and all videos in general, I never do like playback because I suck at that. I mean, it's never gonna look real. I mean, the rhythm, of course, it looks kind of real because you need to be on time, and that's the time,
yeah,
and that's it. But sometimes there is a
I
slide with which is not
think,
in the video, and you
yeah,
hear it in the recording, and then you need to do it again. But the solo, I always do like need to find that take and then put it on the record or on the video,
yeah.
and vice versa.
I do a mixture of both. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like Lavaggio stuff, I first was writing my solos exactly the same. You know, I played it like that. And now, because I've been playing with that guy and the Mortar Guardian, they know what they're playing. So I've been learning more of that so I can be more free and just now I play a Lavaggio solo kind of different every time. As before, when I first was playing it, I played exactly the same every time, but it's just I'm changing as a musician and as a guitar player.
Yeah, that's inevitable, of course. That's the
Yeah.
right thing. But we have a question since like 25 minutes now from Antoine. I'm sorry, Antoine. I suck. I get, that I speak a lot and I lose the point and all those kind of things. Anyways, in case you missed, I have a set of Fishman moderns. I love the high gain, clarity I get from them. I can't seem to get the Strat neck single coil sound, even with the split. Any advice?
Strat neck single coil split sound. Well, I will tell you that they do split coil, and though I really like, I have moderns in here, by the way. I'm on the same boat as you. So let me see. You know, these will give me certain split tones. But because of the way that their voicings work, I think the Tosin and Bassi pickups are the only pickups that can truly do the single coil tone. And it's the only Fishman pickups. I believe there's another way you can do it with these. It's a little more difficult, but those are already voiced for it to have position 2 and 4 on a five-way switch, which are the most single coil, glassy, Strat sounding tones that you can get. I believe the way you can do it with the modern is you take a super switch, both with the Tosin as well. You take a super switch and you wire the north and pole pads that are inside the moderns in a certain way to give you that tone you're looking for. Because I believe that even when these are switched to single coil, that they do not sound the same as the single coil on the Tosin, and they don't do the 3 and 4 position exactly like the Tosins do. So first look into the super switch. If that doesn't work for you, you may be looking at the Tosins for that real super Strat sound. That spanky super glassy tone, that we like from the Strats. I think those are your only two options for getting it on a Fishman. Or like I have the open core classics here. This pickup is not being used. I haven't bought the single coil from Fishman's yet, but if you were to get their HSH setup, you would have all 5 tones, and these coil tap very nicely. I think depending on the pickups for Fishman, no pickup, because they are so different and they're different technology and they can literally make one sound completely different, no pickup sounds the same. For instance, an EMG, I can get an EMG, but they're still in the EMG realm. These are just like night and day difference between pickup to pickup. So the moderns don't exactly single coil like any of their other pickups.
Do you use single coil a lot?
When I'm thumping, I like it for the thump stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if I like put an overdrive and compress it real hard. Let's see.
And that's because you hear more like the sound of the string, or?
So right there, here you see, that's regular. Put the single coil. You kind of get, there it is. That like, that brilliance. But I'll admit that one, the Tosins, this has a pop string, but you'll hear it anyway. The Tosins, they do that single coil. Regular single coil. Look at that. That was from modern single coil to the Fishman's. You can hear that. That's in the middle to the bridge. Go up to the neck. Unfortunately, I don't have a super switch on this guitar, so I don't have access to position 2 and 4, but they're even glassier. They're so spanky, they're so glassy. I like these pickups for that reason. Sometimes I like it for leads, like jazz fusion sounding stuff. Not that I play a lot of that stuff, but it sounds good for something that you want to sound like sexy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyways, Antoine is clarifying that hybrid picking is pick plus finger, and economy picking is a mixture of sweep and alternate picking. Yeah.
Got you.
Like we were saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. So yeah, that's the single coil there for you, Antoine. You're gonna. They're very nice. Let me see. Even I come back to these and I put the single coil mode on, and it doesn't sound nearly as spanky. Yeah.
Do you use any like Dampero, any modelers live, any pedals, or?
I did use
like
the Headrush for Sonic Boom a lot. The Headrush was actually Gabe's, because Gabe's a Headrush artist. So I was using it for like a year. And I actually kind of transitioned a bit more towards preamp pedals. I love the way real gain works.
Yeah, I can see that you use those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I have a couple. I recently just got involved with KSR amps. So they're going to be sending me like their series. I'm an ISP artist, so I own their Theta. I have a number of other preamps, like the Nemesis from Aries Effects and a few others. But I like the fact that I can get a box that does that tone that I want it to, and that is forever that tone. So I can have a clean preamp that sounds very glassy and works for my single coil tones. You know what I mean?
Do you have also the feeling that those preamps, they sound more real in a way comparing to a modular, or not?
Well, they are. They're like some of the amps, depending on the pedal. I don't know if you're familiar with Rev, but I have the G4, and that's my favorite for lead. And basically all it is they take the preamp circuit
Yeah.
from the G4, his real amp, and he puts it into a pedal. And maybe he'll change some things so it better translates, because when you have an amp head, they push out, and that's half the that's some of the tone, depending on how they push out with the power amp. So some pedals have adjustments like that as far as the technical side goes, but I've always liked that I can have a PV in a pedal, I can have a Mesa in a pedal, and it's pretty much
The same thing in a way.
more or less.
Yeah.
It beats the heck out of a modeler, because a modeler is modeling it. This is like, hey, this is the circuit that's driving the sound of that Mesa or that PV or that Rev, or
I got one in 2019 from a company from Italy called Baroni Lab. It's actually Fox Gear. Do you know Fox Gear? It's the same
I haven't
company.
heard.
And they made this amp, which is it's actually an amp, because it's a preamp and power amp together.
Nice.
It's a small pedal like that, and it's so powerful. It's probably 300 watts or something like that.
Wow,
Yeah, it's
that can push a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of heavy in a way, but still, it's a box like this, so it's really useful for going out and playing. Just if you have a cab, and you even have like the line out, which has a cab simulator and stuff. So, and it sounds 100%. It's an amp, and basically it cannot sound otherwise.
So I love amp modelers. I love tone. So I have, I use those preamps. I use amp sims. I use real heads. I use this because it's here. I'm always getting sent gear now that I've been doing the demos. But I am kind of, since I don't have the head rush in anymore, I'm kind of looking for what would be the replacement for that for me, because if I do go out of town, or I am planning to go to LA for some stuff, I am definitely not even going to want to take a pedal board of this size. I
have a suggestion for you. I have an idea for you.
Go for it.
The one I have down here, the Ampero.
The Ampero?
Try it. Yeah.
I'm slowly thinking about it. Joyo has me reviewing 2 pieces of gear a month, and they have their version of an amp modeler. I've kind of been thinking about grabbing it, but I've been really liking these little heads. I don't know why. I'm just obsessed with them. They're really cool toys.
I have the same, like Hot Tone. They made actually Hot Tone. They started out making small things.
Yeah,
so
I tried theirs at first.
They were probably the first company who made like the small version of hats. And they made in the beginning
I used the purple one.
The purple wings.
It's like rock. Yeah, it's like real
wing,
rocky.
That's great. But you know what? That amp, there is another version which is like the pedal version, which is way more powerful, because it's way more. I don't know how many watts, but I probably 40 or something like that, and it sounds great. The same that one, and the one that is called Metal Attack or something like that.
Yeah,
which is the first one they released, and then they made the Vulcan 5.0, which is the 5150. In a way, transistor.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah. I like that stuff.
They made a lot of copies, and it's insane, because it's small like that. It's 5 watts, and you plug into a 4x12, and you're good to go. Yeah, you can play a gig. It's crazy with the drummer. Metal. The drummer is not gonna cover you.
And these guys, they just started getting into putting like the control pedal. So now I have a little output, but they were talking to me. They wanted me to send in a submission to their artists. But I'm just still trying, like, I've been doing the demos, so I'm just kind of like seeing what's out there. I did see you had the Ampero, and I saw that they were doing the giveaway for the pink one not too long ago, and I'm a Pink fan.
I think there is a new one. I'm not sure, but I think, because I recorded a podcast for Hot Tone, which is going to be released on Friday the 13th, so in 2 weeks. And I think they're going to give away pink Ampero.
Pink, that's the one I think I was seeing.
You had the pink guitar and the pink Ampero, same with me, you know what I mean? So
we're twins.
10 days, so.
I'm definitely gonna go check in. I'm very interested in that brand Hot Tone, because I have a friend who, when those amps came out, those mini amps, I have a friend who bought a couple of them, and I would go and see his band practice and play on that thing. And I know they have like their loopers, their little pedals. I saw that they made those, where they have the big knob on the top. Did they make the gent pedal recently, or is that somebody else?
They did that. They did gent pedal. I think it was released actually 3-4 years ago.
I saw. I was really, because I'm an 8-string player, and all my demos are always me playing gent or some gent.
It might be that they don't do it anymore, because the gent pedal was still from the Skyline, which was the first production. Like the small pedals and all those kind of things.
What's funny is I saw it come out more recently this year, because Ola did a video on it, and then they were like $40, and then they didn't have any more, and now they went up to like $80 for their little gent pedals. Inflation, but that you said that they're not making them anymore.
No, I'm not sure. I might say something wrong. But I know that now they are focusing more on the Ampero, which is the new kind of. They went through different phases. The first one was the Skyline kind of thing, and then they moved to the X Stomp. Have you seen any X Stomp?
I haven't seen any of the X Stomp stuff.
What
is that, like single pedals?
It's a single pedal. It looks like an iPhone, like a telephone. It's silver, and basically it works with it's in the other rooms. No, maybe it's here, but it's a mess to take it. So I'm gonna probably destroy something along the way. It's called X Stomp. You can basically load in any effect from the telephone via Bluetooth. And that was the second phase, and then they moved to the Ampero, which is the present and the future, basically. It's still, I think, the same technology of the X Stomp.
So right now their focus is the Ampero for the most part.
Yeah, they did Ampero, and then they did Ampero 1, and then now they just released in China, because there was the same like NAMM, but in Shanghai, in China.
And where are they from?
Actually, this weekend. They're from
nice.
China.
They're from China, okay.
And,
crazy.
And now they released the Ampero Stomp, which is like the Ampero, exactly the same thing, I think, but without any expression pedal. You can still use external expression pedals and stuff. It's more or less like the
Line 6 Stomp.
Yeah,
Helix?
Line 6 with the Helix. The Helix.
Yeah.
The same idea.
That's
but totally different instrument. The functionality is.
I'm really interested in that white box modding, or the way they emulate their tones compared to other people.
Yeah, I was so in the beginning when I got this Ampero, I was so impressed by the sound and how easy it was to get my tone out.
And you're using that the majority of the time?
Yeah, live I'm using that all the time, because it's small, and that's the most important thing for me, as well as the sound, of course, because I usually fly a lot. I used to fly a lot when it was allowed to do it, and so I need something small, which sounds great, and you have everything you want there, even like the drum
aux-in and stuff. Oh, nice.
And that's the audio interface, of course. And
see, that's convenient. I like the size, because I use the head rush. About the tones, they sounded cool. Whenever I played them in a live environment with a band, it was a little different and complicated for me to get them to fit, as I'm used to like the PV or tubes, which have this real thick effect to them. I just like that it had everything, but it was still kind of big for a pedal. In my the head rush is like this big, and I saw that the Ampero is only like this big, right? It's not so bulky.
It's like that, yeah. That's the Ampero, the biggest. That's the biggest. But then you have the Ampero 1, and then you have the Ampero Stone, and God knows what is the next step.
Well, they have some really cool stuff. I'm really interested to see.
And it's the practical. It's really practical, and it works like audio interface. And then what I do, which is really cool, I go a lot of times around with my laptop, playing on the backing tracks during the clinics,
Yeah.
and using the Ampero via USB inside the PC. And basically, what I'm doing is, if I want to do some videos, I'm gonna film the video with whatever camera, and I'm gonna record the sound of the guitar, just a line in, just a DI.
That's awesome. So you
But
can
still, I'm
reamp it
playing
later.
with. I'm still playing with the 5150 emulation like this that goes to the house, but I'm recording the DI so I can do the reamp like you said once I'm back in the studio. You know,
That's
which is
so
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
I need to get into that. I'm really interested in getting into some modelers like that.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I used before I used to use like the camper, but still live it's a mess because even if
It's
it's
a
still
lot
easier
to
than I
carry
had,
on.
yeah. I mean, the foot controller, the MIDI foot controller, I use the Behringer one, which is a spaceship, you know. So it was too big, but with this, everything is there, and the sound is basically really similar. I mean, I feel that the sound of the camper and the sound of the Ampero, for some reason,
Really fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to try
Of
that. Now
course.
you have me really interested.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
should
on
try.
that podcast and
Yeah, and if you
Go
don't
try
have the
my
chance,
odds.
I'm gonna bring my the next time we're gonna meet at NAM Pro, hopefully
Yes.
2022. Yeah. So, anyways, I think we're gonna wrap it up. We hit 2
Yeah,
hours and 2
that's
minutes,
awesome.
which went so fast because it was so fun.
it was super fun. Thank
So,
you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you very much for accepting. It was everything organized at the
course.
last moment, like I usually do.
Yeah.
But that's
But it worked and
that's
we
the-
did it. You know.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. You know, it's always like in the moment. You know.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much, and
Thank you for having
look
me.
forward to the next time we get to hang out together, which is gonna be soon in a way.
Yeah.
And
Well, with the
just
technology
keep-
now, I'm down. You know, whenever you want to have
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
let me know.
tomorrow. No, but I mean,
That's-
we might have like another. Another possibility to hook
Yeah.
up in the future and, do
And,
something
and Sundays,
together online.
like if we do it Sunday, maybe a month from now, that would be great because Sundays are my best days to catch me.
Yeah, yeah, we can even do something like more guitar related, like
Yeah, I'll prep
some
something
kind
more next time.
Yeah.
I'll do a little set if you want next time.
Yeah, next time I'm gonna say at least like 1 week before.
we'll
we can-
title it, you and me, shut up and play.
Yeah. So, yeah, you're gonna have a great weekend ahead. You still have some hours to relax before tomorrow.
Yeah, a little
Yeah.
bit. I'm gonna relax before my grind
Yeah.
begins tomorrow. So
Here is already like almost is 11:37
Oh,
p.m.
wow.
So yeah, so time
it's
to go
about to be
sleep tomorrow.
5. Yeah, it's 4:37. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna
And,
have
to-
dinner.
Yeah, cool. So thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
to everybody who follow us.
Thank you.
Antoine and all those guys
Antoine.
who were really kind to write to us.
Find me
Sorry if
on
it took-
Facebook, Antoine. Find me on
Yeah.
Facebook. I'd love to connect.
Anyway, hold on. There is a last message from him. So you're gonna read it here. So he's saying that he subscribed to your YouTube channel, the studio
Yay!
channel. Do you have 2 channels or is the same?
Sonic Boom is on its own, but it's just pure for Sonic Boom material. And since we only get together so much, it's not so busy. Widowmaker Studio, you're pretty much going to see all my content flow through there. If you've seen it on Facebook or Instagram, it's on YouTube. So and
But
it's
you
on
see,
through there.
like Antoine, he already found out the Videomaker Studios and Sonic Boom, everything by himself. So that
Nice.
says a lot.
Thank you
by
so much.
how serious he is and following new artists,
Thank
and
you,
people
Antoine.
in this music business. So thank you very much, Antoine. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
everybody who listened to our
Nonsense.
delirium and craziness and guitar madness. And see you guys soon with the next live. Josh, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much
Was a
again.
pleasure.
And see you
Yes, sir.
soon, hopefully. Okay?
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Be safe.
Cheers.